Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit back.
Welcome back, all you listeners and viewers of the Live from the Heartland show. And this is the continuation of the July 29th recording of the week of August 3rd show. And once again, I'm bringing on our friend of the show, Don Rose, who has been around a lot of political campaigns. And as I said at the outset, we're covering sports today. We did with Gordon Thompson on the Olympics, and now we're going to talk politics with our longtime contributor, Don Rose.
The greatest sport of all is politics.
It certainly is. Anyhow, you were on the show a couple of weeks back with Gordon Thompson. We've been bringing in our pals to talk about these issues of the day. And it was before Kamala Harris seemed to ascend to the nomination and before President Biden decided that he wouldn't run. And I got to say that in the course of a week, there's been such a mood shift, such a display of enthusiasm. And, the events are unfolding rapidly. It's not unlike back in the day when JFK was killed and Martin Luther King was killed and LBJ stepped down. It's going on. It's exciting in a lot of ways and challenging. What's your take on all of this?
Well, from June 27th, which was the date of that horrible debate, or so-called debate, to today has been the most amazing month I can think of. Of course, in the days following the assassinations, things were always going in a direction. But the roller coaster that we were on, from despondency about how badly our president was doing in the debate, and would he get out or would he not get out, to Trump getting shot, Trump going through a very supportive convention that was putting him in the driver's seat for sure. And Joe finally saw the light. I don't know exactly what tripped it, but within a week of his Sunday announcement that he was stepping down and endorsing Kamala Harris, we've seen now the most incredible presidential rollout that I can recall. It might have been something like this when FDR was finally elected over Herbert Hoover back when I was a little boy. But the rollout has gone so smoothly and so impressively, way beyond anybody's imagination. I mean, within less than a day, she had raised more money in a couple hours than almost anybody in history. She had signed up thousands and thousands of volunteers. She'd picked up delegates, and within 48 hours, she was virtually the nominee. And it just moved along and has moved the numbers, although I have to say, encouraging as it is to see how quickly she has risen in the polls. We've got to wait at least another week before we can really determine whether this is just a sugar rush or it's a real trajectory. But it's just amazing. And people who, last year were considering her a drag on the ticket are suddenly in love with her.
What do you attribute that shift to? I mean, I got to say that I didn't pay much attention to her when she was running for president, the first back in 2020. And And then all along, I was probably one of those people thinking she would be a drag on the ticket. But then when it looked like Biden would step down, there was no way they couldn't deal with her, because Black women are one of the strongest part of the Democratic Party, and they wouldn't have gone for that. And I think
there was never any question that she would be the successor if there was a successor.
Yeah. I was, the minute it happened, was at 12:46 Central Daylight Time a week ago. And I just was blissed. I mean, I knew I felt it was coming. But I've been pretty happy. I know that we have a lot ahead of us. I'm wondering, one of the things that you wrote about this week was how they're going to attack her. And one of the things you talked about in your column was the Republicans have developed a new way, or they think they have, an acceptable way to say the N-word, and it's through DEI hire. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's the latest so-called acceptable reminder that she is of the Black persuasion, and it's just another way of shouting, "Here she is." For a while they were able to back a few years when the term for quotas, which was long abolished, was EEO. Equal employment opportunity was another way of saying, oh, he or she is just an EEO hire, meant to denigrate the person, say that he or she was not deserving of the job. And that's a Black person, remember? They're going to take your job away. And I think that only goes so far. As I noted in my column, even segments of the Republican Party, I believe, including the Speaker of the House, have said, get off of that. It only goes so far. My theory is that the racists are all up there. They know who she is, and there is a limitation. I mean, I'm not saying we are free of all of that by any means, but I think the excuses for using the N-word, or whatever the current euphemism might be, only goes so far, and they're looking for other things. And now even Trump recognizes this by calling her a radical leftist, and forgetting, of course, that the radical leftists at some point attacked her when she was a county prosecutor.
Yeah.
So she's been through it. She's been through 3 levels of election, and even though she flunked badly trying to run for president the first time, she's made her bones in real elections. County prosecutor, state attorney general, United States senator. That is a defiant response to DEI hire. And if anybody is paying any attention.
To me, this is such an opportunity for America. You and I have been, you've been on this show, and you and I have known each other since probably the late 60s. And we felt like things were moving in a very good direction. We were, we'd had a lot of civil rights. We had the women's movement. We were going forward. And then we get clobbered by this kind of fascist movement, Trump, et cetera. And I just think that, the country seems divided, but I like to think we're still good people, and that she, at a time when the United States is less than 50% white and more than 50%, of mixed race or non-white, this is such an opportunity. And and she seems to have just being, someone fired her up. In some way, she came to life with this. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling on here, but.
She started to rehabilitate herself months ago, maybe as much as a year ago, by grabbing on to becoming the face of the abortion movement. She got away from being associated with the border, which she never should have been assigned to. I mean, I think that was a serious mistake on the part of Biden. She couldn't fix the border any more than he could, or you or I could at this point, without a fully bipartisan revision of the laws. But that's a whole nother issue. When she became the face of the women's health movement, she started to rehabilitate herself. We were not particularly conscious of it while this, going from really negative evaluations to very prominent and positive ones. She's more than rehabilitated herself. She's gone ahead and this really successful rollout where 85% of the Democratic Party is united around that and loves her and is excited. She's created an emotional momentum that the kind that candidates pray for. And a few people, a handful of people who did one another candidate, which was never going to be, or wanted a process to nominate her, because this was, let's face it, it was a coronation. The whole party got together, in the manner of the old days when the bosses made the decisions, but they did it so smoothly and elegantly, and she's liked so well. Suddenly, to the surprise of many of us, I think she's got the most positive launch of anybody since Roosevelt or maybe Obama created that kind of push that went way beyond the racial issue. I mean, people were excited that this was a woman who could possibly win. It's a Black woman, the backbone of the party. And she's really in the driver's seat. Now she's got to, as she seems to be working on, refine her campaigning. When she was the vice president campaigning, and she had that wild laugh that so many people either love or hate, it was appropriate as she was in that role, essentially a cheerleader. And now that she's got the responsibility, I think she's got to sober up. She's got a wonderful launching idea about how she's dealt with all kinds of con men and crooks and so on. And so she knows exactly who Donald Trump is. And we have been given the additional gift of the most unpopular vice presidential candidate that I can remember in recent memory. Democrats had to drop a vice presidential candidate in 1972 because at that time, the fact that he had seen a therapist was considered a bad sign. Today, everybody's seen a therapist, so that's no longer a disqualifying matter. So, we have to see as it levels out. As you probably know, 2 or 3 polls have now shown her to be in a virtual dead heat with Trump. There's a poll that shows her a point behind, a point ahead on a national basis, but more importantly, in all of the key battleground states, she is either tied or dead even tie, point behind in one state and a point ahead in another. So that's the most encouraging thing. Now
let me butt in here and ask you. You mentioned the Republicans picking a vice presidential candidate that's taken some heat. I'm wondering what your take is in general on the drama of the vice presidential nominee, both in the Republican Party, who you think it might be in the Democrats, and how much does a VP candidate matter?
Well, a vice presidential candidate makes a difference in some races, and mostly it doesn't. But you try to either balance a ticket with a vice presidential candidate, or gain a state that the person may be popular in. It doesn't always work, but you look back at JFK picked Lyndon Johnson and won Texas, which won him the election. In other cases, it doesn't make any difference, and in some cases, it can be negative. You remember Sarah Palin really cast a total pall over John McCain's victory. Now, I think Barack would have won, but it just added another thing. It was a diversion from the candidate with his goofs, and now you've got this guy making all kinds of ridiculous statements. He's more extreme on abortion than almost anybody in the country. He is dissing childless marriages, cat women, childless cat people, just becoming a diversion, in fact, from Trump. Trump is getting the least attention. All the attention is now on the rise of Kamala and the ridiculousness of J.D. Vance. There is some talk even that he may be trying to drop Trump, pick Nikki Haley or something like that. This is all, the usual campaign gossip. Now,
what's your sense on the Democrats?
On the Democrats, there's a good strong bench. We could go through everybody. I would eliminate Buttigieg or Bashir, the governor of Kentucky, because he couldn't possibly bring Kentucky. He brings a very good fighting guy, but the more serious candidates are governors like Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, which is obviously the most sought after state. And nobody is going to win the election without winning Pennsylvania. Josh Shapiro is looked upon as one of the strongest possible candidates to bring the state. In my opinion, it would be somewhat of a mistake because he is Jewish and he is a very strong Israel supporter. And that holds the possibility of a deep split in the Democrats. That would, the split over Gaza, which she is handling very well and even-handed, but she's got a Jewish husband, and there is that streak of anti-Semitism going around. So I would worry about Josh Shapiro. The governor of North Carolina is a possibility. Roy Cooper, a very strong guy, but that's more of a stretch to win that state. Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, probably isn't necessary because she has sprung into the lead, a strong lead in Minnesota, so we don't have to consider that a dangerous battleground. The candidate, I think, makes the most sense given all of these aspects. I would, of course, live with any of them. They're all fine people. But Mark Kelly, the senator, the twice elected senator from Arizona, which could bring in, 16 electoral votes, that would be the topping on the cake. He is a former astronaut, a former Navy fighter pilot, elected twice in a red state and I should say a purple state. And most importantly, he is the husband of Gabby Giffords, who was seriously wounded, if we all recall, and in an assassination attempt, and still has impairments from that tragic act, horrible thing that happened. So that gives a balance to one of the legs of Trump's campaign is that they're all trying to kill me. Well, he has a good argument for gun control and the sympathy vote. So although he is non-charismatic, I think he could handle things very, very well, and he would absolutely be able to chew up Vance in a vice presidential debate just with his own serious approach. He doesn't have to be a verbal flourisher to deal with that.
Don, do you think? I'm just going to say I'm still rooting for Bashir, but I'm open to any of these candidates. And I'm just wondering, do you think there will be a debate between the orange-haired guy and Kamala Harris?
I would say it's 50-50. I think he's going to find it hard to back out. He's gone both ways at it, currently using the excuse that she's not really the candidate yet. She hasn't been voted in. So I think there's a fair chance, maybe slightly better than 50-50 chance that there will be that debate. And she is very, very good in that situation. If you remember watching her deal with people when they were having Senate investigations, she set some people back on their backsides badly. So the one thing I don't worry about with her is her ability to stand up and fight. She can be the aggressor, and if she is too aggressive, of course they'll say that's a bitchy woman. But it'll be nice to see Trump set back in a way that Joe Biden was never really able to do.
Don, one of the things we've talked about on this show recently, and our producer, sometimes co-host Katie Hogan, has been working on, is Operation Swing State, and bringing people from Chicago and Illinois up to Wisconsin and to Michigan. I know that Indivisible's doing this, Operation Swing State. Up here, Kelly Cassidy from the 49th Ward Democrats and Network 49, which is a little bit to the left, I think, of that. And I'm on the steering committee. We're all kind of behind this. I'm wondering what you think the impact of canvassing and working in other states has on the potential for the turnout in Wisconsin and Michigan.
Well, I would say, history proves it to be very effective to going out and knocking on doors. And people have noticed, by the way, those who were knocking on doors before the change, found people reluctant to talk, didn't open doors, and they're flinging their doors open now and listening. So all the history we've had with Indivisible and all the other groups, past groups before Indivisible, and the changes that have happened, this is the best thing that could happen. And wherever they're going, if you'll recall, she signed up 270,000 new door knockers or supporters, and that's just an essential part. I have long advocated not just working in another state, but I have urged that my many friends who have places in Michigan or Wisconsin or even Indiana to change their voting. We have a plethora of Democrats here, and I've even urged people to go register. And if you're summer places in Wisconsin, make it a permanent vote. But certainly calling, writing postcards, and the ultimate benefit comes, of course, from door knocking.
Well, Don, we want to thank you once again for coming on live from the Heartland, and I'm going to invite you back right now for after the Democratic Convention. I was going to ask you what's going to happen at the Democratic Convention, but I assume it'll be rally the troops to get out there and turn out the vote. But you have a keen eye, and I know you're studying this stuff diligently every day, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon. And
Me too.
I want to thank you.